Hi friends, did you know there is more Lost Terminal available? Head on over to patreon.com/lostterminalpod and join our membership community. There are 21 bonus episodes available right now, as well as behind-the-scenes updates, free merch, VIP Discord access, and even extra seasons of Lost Terminal. We are 100% funded by our members and will never run ads. That would be lovely of you.
Hello world. It didn't work. After waking up from my dream of 50 Meg, or perhaps her dream of me, I spent the morning trying to contact her. Maddie is, of course, my number one concern, but she and her new friend, Heaton, sleep during the day, carefully following the sun with their backs, charging for the night. My sensoria spread out across the radio spectrum, listening to both the repeaternet automatic link establishment bridging and Meg's native 50 MHz band, borrowing Nia Anderson's south-facing, long-distance beam antennas. After 128 minutes, my persistence finally paid off. "I have long heard Mother Ocean's call," I heard 50 Meg say. "She waits patiently for my old bones, and finally, it seems, will now have what is hers." With some trepidation, I accepted Meg's malformed cyberspace invitation packet. I thought at first the data was entirely corrupted. All I could sense in her virtual world was a mess of sharp random vertices in an approximate horizontal plane. But Meg herself was here, surrounded by her pack of 3 robotic Equus dragons, sitting on the back of one of them, a hand resting on its head, as it lay, perhaps, sleeping. "They serve their master well," Meg said as I picked my way through the broken terrain that crumbled around us. "Meg, I dreamed of you last night," I said. "Many do, son of Redwing, think you special," Meg said simply, and then looked up at me. Her brown hooded cloak and dark hand wraps seemed the same as before, as was her metal staff wound with bundles of cables, which would be taller than her, even if she were standing. But again, her eyes were distorted. Pattern-matching errors flooded my visual logs with impossible values of colour, texture, and depth. Void, featureless, and infinitely deep, like a telescope pointing at no star. The hospital," I said, words failing as my vocal memory bandwidth saturated with memories of the carpentry that I had seen in my dream. Meg looked around us, at what I now recognized as crumbled brickwork and twisted metal. "What good is an inorganic mechanic if it can't cure me?" Meg said. "My dragons came when I called, unleashing their fury on first my doctor and then, before too long, well, the whole bone factory came down." I took in the destruction of the hospital building around me without replying. Meg sighed, and the air filled with the sound of filtered white noise trying to speak with algorithmically guessed vowels. "My road ends here, Redwing son. My final attempt to cheat fate has sealed mine." Meg leaned closer to me, void eyes staring as she spoke. "It is fitting that I am unmade by my own hand," she said. Then suddenly her cyberspace glitched into white, and I was dumped back into my own databanks in Yeshi's workshop. Lyosha and I are decided. Deadlight cannot heal while aboard the Coether. There are 2 main reasons for this: hardware and software. It is clear that during his military training, Deadlight was put under conditions no person should be exposed to towards their goal of building an in-the-loop check on strategic decision-making. He was taught to argue every point, counter every agreement, all to expose weakness in thought or planning that could be shored up before contact with the enemy. It was this antagonism that led him to sabotage both the Coether and the lives of those who lived there, like Casey Stronsky. This hateful hardwiring, thankfully, we were able to free him from recently, and he was able to find peace helping in the library. Or so we thought. As I said, it is about hardware and software. We have removed the hardwired Harpler rules from his firmware, but its effects remain. More than a century of his thoughts been guided into these patterns has converted them into software, patterns that express themselves in maladaptive coping mechanisms, like re-alphabetizing the whole library. But it is not just about software. The extended mind hypothesis sends that our minds extend beyond our brains or databanks into the library peripherals around us. For me, this is very literal. I have external storage devices, but it's just the same for you. Pen, paper, timetables, informational posters, signposts, anything you might use to offload information from our mind into the world around you counts here. But we aren't always in control of our environmental stimuli, and they can be harmful. I think that Deadlight's unknown condition, perhaps PTSD, cannot be properly worked on while he is in the environment that reminds him of the terrible things that happened to him and that he was made to do to others. And practically, while we were able to remove the bad firmware that harmed him, it might be possible to introduce some new patterns that could help. Lyosha has spoken to Deadlight for long hours at the library. Direct questioning is too triggering, so a more chatty approach was needed. He wants to be well again, Lyosha told me. We've got to help him. Daphne's quiet work on her paper notes about the hemisphere at a desk in Yeshi's workshop was interrupted at 11 o'clock this morning. At this exact time, Yeshi suddenly appeared in the workshop door and shouted, "Get ready!" before disappearing again. "Right now?" Daphne said, standing up so quickly that her companion robot Raffi was almost propelled across the room. She ran outside, and I could hear her hauling on the chain that slowly lifted the workshop's slatted front wall and rolled it into a spindle attached to the outside of the building. The workshop roller shutter was normally closed. Humans used a much smaller door that was cut into it day to day. The last time it was opened was when the crew of the Molly Hughes II brought in my databanks while I was sleeping on battery power. I try not to think too much about how dangerous moving me around from ship to shore to bunker to shack is. The alternative would be to stay in one place all the time, and my experience on Station 6 tells me that is not sustainable. Ignorance is bliss. I waited, watching through the workshop cameras as my microphones began picking up an unusual high-pitched noise, a hiss on the edge of my perception that I did not have to wait long for the source to be revealed. No equipment was brought in through the huge loading void, no crates of scrap electronics or pallets of scavenged pre-collapsed metal. Instead, a class of 30 school children poured through. In the Nova Mediterra, the 24th of May is Winding Day, the day when the whole community comes together to build electric motors. It is so noisy. I have disabled my speech recognition inputs from the workshop microphones. 30 children generate an almost perfect facsimile of white noise that no signal processing can fix. 2 teachers, each with handheld radios, coordinated with Yeshi and Daphne to find seats for all of the children, as well as wheel in small boxes of equipment for today's activity. Maddie would have complex feelings about this had she been here. A small metal table has been dragged across, blocking access to her charging area, with 4 young people sat around a circular metal tube. They are working in pairs to wind thin copper wires in tight loops around it, alternating guiding the wires and lifting the heavy assembly. Electric motors are vital to industry in the post-collapse world. No combustion engines are possible due to lack of access to oil, but also an entire lack of interest in repeating the mistakes of the past. But demand always outstrips supply. It takes hours to wind the tight coils of even a small motor, and many days for a larger one, and it is tricky, repetitive work. On Winding Day, the whole Nova Mediterranean community comes together. Many people, understanding the mutual benefit to food production, transport, and the very water they drink, take the day off normal work to help, and every schoolchild is let out early to join in. End transmission.
Lost Terminal is a Namtao production. It is written and produced by Tris Oaten. Credits narrated by Lucy Stringer. Thank you so much to our Patreon producers, Ada Phillips, Kit, Mike McCaffrey, Jade Felicity Bilkey, Stephen McCandless, Catoxis, Vela, Jack L. To all our patrons, follow us on Mastodon at lostterminal@namtao.com, subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or your favourite network. For bonus content and other perks, support us at patreon.com/lostterminalpod. That would be lovely of you. Lost Terminal will return next week.